Today we are going to be talking about everybody's favorite Enneagram number, Enneagram Type 6. Of course, I say that because that's my type. But to be entirely honest, if you get to the end of this video and you think that you might be an Enneagram Type 6, I offer you my deepest and most sincerest condolences, because I don't think anybody wakes up asking to be like this, you know? I know I sure as hell didn't. So before going too much further, I want to say that the Enneagram Type 6 personality is the most diverse on the Enneagram because it comes in such a wide variety of displays of behavior. Just when you think you understand what a Type 6 personality looks like, you meet someone with a Type 6 personality that looks like the complete opposite of that. So what I'm going to try to do throughout this video is give you as many different facets of this personality type as I can to give you as well-rounded a view of this personality style that I can give you. If you don't like being the person that's in charge of everything, because you feel much better when you have someone that you know that you can lean on for strength, someone that's going to take care of you, someone else that can just deal with the really hard responsibilities so you don't have to risk the consequences of fucking that up. If that applies to you, you might be an Enneagram Type 6. If you are an emotionally private person, because you're afraid that if you express how scared you are, or how angry you are, or how hurt you are, how disappointed you are, how just fed up with shit you are, if you're afraid to express disinterest, anything like that, if you're afraid to express just honestly how you feel because you fear that people will take how you feel and use it against you. And by that I mean, perhaps you're afraid that if you tell someone that you're scared or you're upset about something, they're gonna think you're a buzzkill and they don't want you around, or they're gonna think you're a burden and they won't want to help you anymore. If you express disinterest, they may think you're not a team player, you don't really want to be here, so they fire you or they just don't invite you anymore. So you've learned to keep your emotions hidden. You might be an Enneagram Type 6. If you freak the fuck out every time you make a mistake because you're afraid that people are going to get angry at you and do something bad to you in some way that threatens your security, you might be an Enneagram Type 6. If you give in to peer pressure easily, or if you just prefer to go along with what other people are doing, or if you prefer to behave the way you know other people expect you to behave, if you're scared to do your own thing, to speak out against something that you don't believe is right, because you're afraid to be socially ostracized or rejected or abandoned or shamed for being different, or if you're afraid that you will be punished in some way for not living up to how other people expect you to behave, you might be an Enneagram Type 6. With that being said, if it is very important to you to know what is expected of you, what the rules are, what everybody in this particular social situation is going to behave like, how other people are going to view right and wrong behavior, not necessarily because you want to adhere to those things, but because by knowing those expectations and those rules, you can kind of get an idea of the price you're going to pay if you go against them. So if you just like knowing the expectations and the rules, simply because it allows you to better calculate what risks you are and are not willing to take with your security, you might be an Enneagram Type 6. If when someone makes a bad first impression with you and they immediately go on the suspicious person list or the dangerous person list, and you have a very hard time being convinced that they are anything other than this bad first impression that they gave to you, you might be an Enneagram Type 6. If you're jealous of confident people, you might be an Enneagram Type 6. If you get frustrated when people are always putting their hands in your business because You just want to run your own life. You want to make your own decisions. You don't want all of these other people trying to tell you how you have to live and what you have to do. If that shit just frustrates the fuck out of you because you are just trying to do you, you might be an Enneagram type 6. Straight up, if you are just an anxious person, if you worry a lot, and this doesn't necessarily have to look like what we would traditionally think of as anxiety, because some 6s have their shit together a little bit more than others. Some are good at coming off as very confident people that don't worry about a lot of things. And to be fair, some 6s have got their anxiety under control to the point that they're not worrying about things that are a waste of time to worry about. So sometimes worrying or being anxious for a 6 is just a matter of worst case scenario planning. It's a matter of just making a note of something that could be a problem later, so you just kind of prepare for it in advance. It could be something as simple as checking the weather before you go to bed so that you know what it's going to look like tomorrow. Oh, it's going to be rain. I need to find my umbrella. It's going to be cold. I need to find my coat. Just being the sort of person that's always prepared, that's a healthier version of what anxiety and worry looks like, because at the end of the day, they're the same thing. They are predicting a future problem and trying to be prepared for it. The difference is when you're a really anxious 6, you're preparing up here and not doing anything productive about it, and you're hyper focusing on something that you can't change. And if you are a healthier 6, you can notice problems that may come up in the future, whether it's something small like the weather or something big like perhaps a confrontation that you think you're going to have with somebody somewhere down the line. And you just make practical plans to prepare for that, and you've got those in place, and then you can go on and do something else. So sometimes anxiety just looks very practical like that. So you kind of have to watch for that preparedness thinking, is what I like to call it. So if that applies to you on either end of that spectrum, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If you have a hard time trusting people, even people that haven't done anything to prove that you can't trust them, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If you are loyal to a fault, if you're a hard worker, if you're the sort of person that says, I'm going to give you 100%, and then you give 120%, you might be an Enneagram type 6. Even though you don't like other people making decisions about your life or offering unsolicited advice, if you're the sort of person that feels more comfortable going to people and just asking for different perspectives about a problem that you have before you decide how you want to handle it, you might be an Enneagram type 6. Just like we have 6s that are really skeptical and they don't trust anybody, there are also 6s that have the opposite problem. They trust too much. They think, oh, this person seems like a decent person. I bet I could trust them. Or they say, I've known this person for a really long time. They're a family member. They're a best friend. They're a life partner. They're somebody that I've been working with for a long time. So I can just immediately trust everything they say. Nothing that they say is wrong. They would never mislead me, take advantage of me, use me, etc., etc. Now, with that being said, those are not necessarily conscious thoughts that you think. It's just kind of an unconscious behavioral pattern that you don't know you have. So those are two different extremes that a 6 could be on. So not necessarily just the skeptical 6, but if you are the really gullible 6 that's too trusting in people you think are good people, in other words, you don't question when you should, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If you're just a practical person and you solve problems easily because you have a lot of common sense and everybody else is getting fucking worked up about shit, and you're the person that comes in and is like, hey, this is the solution, you might be an Enneagram type 6. On the opposite side of that, though, if there's a crisis of some kind, not even a crisis, if there's a problem and everyone else is really calm and they seem to know how to handle it, and you go into it and you're the one that's freaking out and you're not sure if you can trust their competency, like, do they really actually see this problem for how bad it is? They should be just as upset as you are. Why aren't they as upset as you are? Maybe it's because they don't see how bad the problem really is. And if they don't see how bad the problem really is, then obviously they can't appropriately solve it. And if they can't appropriately solve it, then it's going to get worse and it's going to cause problems. And what if in the process of causing those problems and getting worse, it affects you and your security to some extent? If you are on either side of that spectrum, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If you have this innocent, childlike, playful side to you, and not necessarily innocent as in naive, but if there's just this part of you that knows how to let go and laugh at things and make fun of things and not take life so fucking seriously, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If people just naturally like you when they meet you, and you're not necessarily popular, you don't walk into a room and exude some sort of charming energy and people are really drawn to that like they would be to a 3 or a 7 perhaps. But if you're just this cool person, you know, people meet you and they're kind of like, yeah, she's kind of cool, she's easy to talk to, you know? And you just make friends easily, or at the very least acquaintances that you talk to for a little while, just because you're chill and you're easy to get along with and people kind of pick up on that when they first meet you, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If financial security is a hyper focus for you, or at the very least, maybe it's just something that you prioritize above other things. In other words, if you're the sort of person that works very hard and budgets in a very tight way because you are so afraid of being in a situation financially where you're not going to be able to afford even the basic needs that you have to take care of yourself, a place to live, food to eat, the ability to take care of yourself if there's a medical emergency, or the ability to take care of your family. If that sort of thing is a central fear, anxiety, concern, whatever word it is that you want to use in your life, and you build your life around that and operate around that so that you can avoid that happening, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If having a strong support system, whether that's family or friends, both, is really important to you, because when you go through really hard times in life, you have a hard time carrying the emotional weight of those things by yourself. You know what I mean? If you're the sort of person that feels like, I can't do this on my own, I want to have a network of people that I know I can always go to, and they're going to be there and they're going to help take care of me and they're going to reassure me and I can trust them. If that's something that you need in your life to feel secure, or to feel like you're going to be capable of making it through whatever hardship it is that you have to go through, you might be an Enneagram type 6. If you like to put on this whole tough guy routine and you like to come across as really hard, like a badass, like nothing bothers me, this doesn't even faze me, fine, I don't even care, I didn't want that anyway. Or if you're the opposite and you consciously or unconsciously like to play the whole damsel in distress mode, you know, I can't take care of myself, I feel so terrible, won't you take care of me, I'm just poor little me, to elicit feelings of pity or guilt from other people so that they will take care of you, so that you don't have to worry about losing some sort of security that you feel like you're about to lose, or to have someone who's just stronger than you to take care of you because you feel like that's what you need and you don't feel like you're going to get it unless you put on this whole woe is me act, you might be an Enneagram type 6. So these are just a few examples of what an Enneagram type 6 personality could look like. Again, this personality type is so vastly varied. There's no way that in a video of any decent length of time, I could fully capture all of the different ways that type 6 expresses itself. I have seen 6s who are very serious people. They're like snitches. They're always looking out at other people to see what other people are doing wrong, and then they are telling on them or finding some way to make them pay for what they did wrong. I have met 6s that are the sweetest little things. They cry at the drop of a hat. They will give you the shirt off their back. They don't know how to say no. They're just doormats. I've met 6s that are very competitive, very confident. They like to get engaged with other people and kind of show off what they're good at. They're very arrogant. I've met 6s that are very afraid to get close to others or attached to other people, but at the same time, they come across as being really desperate for human relationship and love, but they're scared to go there, so they kind of keep to themselves. I have seen 6s who are very adventurous and they love life and they're very extroverted and outgoing, and it seems like they're not really afraid of anything. I've had 6s who come in and just fucking take charge of shit, and they're the only person anywhere that's actually smart enough to get things done, and they are so strong and confident that other people rely on them for strength. I've seen 6s that are just chill, you know, they don't really give a fuck about anything. They don't seem to be fazed by anything. They're just cool with whatever, you know. They just live a quiet, simple life and they're fine with that. Not very ambitious, don't have a lot of aspirations, but they're not lazy either, you know. They're just average Joe kind of person. I've seen 6s that have anxiety problems and they freak out about every fucking little thing and they're trying to hold their shit together, but they're just like these scared, tiny little mice running around with their heads cut off. Again, if you watched this and you feel like you are a type 6 after watching this, I'm so sorry for you. You should probably start like a support group for us, you know, and, email it to me or something so I can come because I need some help. Yeah. So anyways, for better or for worse, this video is just a little bit of what it's like to be an Enneagram type 6.